So very, very important to understanding the doctrine of the real presence. The Church teaches that the mode of Christ's presence in the Eucharist is entirely different from the mode of his presence historically with the disciples. It's not the same mode of presence at all. And if you want to get sort of philosophical about it, the Church teaches that the only thing present in the elements is the substance of Christ's body and blood, only the substance. Now, there are a lot of things that we can usually say about a body other than its substance. Substance means what is it that makes it to be the kind of thing that it is. When you've answered that question, you know what substance means. But think about all the other things you could say about a body. For example, is Christ sitting down? Is he sitting down at the Last Supper? The being in a position. Well, the mode of presence proper to the Eucharist is not one about which you could say that Christ's presence is in a certain position, like sitting or standing. Does not apply. Here's another one. Quantity. So in his proper person, historically, Jesus was, I'm just going to take a stab at it. Let's say he was 5'8" and 150 pounds.
Okay.
I don't know how tall. I'm making him kind of a little bit of a guy, to get a slim, sort of average height. I don't know how big he was, but let's say he was 5'8" and 150 pounds. Well, is his presence in the Eucharist 5'8" and 150 pounds? Well, obviously not. Not at all. The quantity is not conveyed, is not transmuted into the elements. And because there's no quantity, therefore there's no extension. 2 feet across, that sort of thing, no extension. Now, because there's no extension, there's no divisibility. So, for example, if I took the historical Christ, you could chop him in half with a machete, and you could have half of Jesus over here and half of Jesus over there. But that's a function of his quantitative dimensions. But the mode of presence proper to the Eucharist does not have quantitative dimensions in that way. So if you break the host in half, you are not breaking Jesus in half such that you have half of Jesus over here and half of Jesus over there. It's not like you've got his lower torso over here and his upper torso over there.
Yeah.
No, actually, the Church teaches that the entirety of the substantial presence remains intact under every particle of the sacred species. And so you could keep going down a lot of other accidents. We talk about qualities. Let's say Jesus went out in the sun, got a good tan. So he's probably olive-skinned kind of guy, but he was like really brown, kind of olive-skinned today because he'd been out in the Judean sun. Well, that doesn't transmute into the Eucharist. It doesn't have the quality of having brown skin or green eyes. None of that stuff transfers. Only the substantial mode. And so you say to me, well, Andrews, that's weird stuff. That's weird stuff. I don't know about any of this substantial mode stuff. And to which I would respond, absolutely, yes. This is one of the doctrines of the Christian faith that is a mystery. Mystery. Like the Trinity. I don't have any personal experience of something that's triune in precisely that way. So it's something that transcends my normal categories.
Okay.
The incarnation itself, the hypostatic union of the divine and the human, is utterly unique to the person of Jesus. No other human being is hypostatically united to the Word in one person in that way. So it's utterly unique. You can't draw from normal categories to understand the incarnation. Nor so can you do that with the Eucharist. This is the only thing that we know of where you have a substantial mode of presence with none of the other categories of being applicable. And in fact, the teaching of the Church is that Christ held himself in his own hands when he consecrated the elements of the Eucharist. He held himself in his own hands. And to the question, if when they bit into the sacred host, why didn't, like a hunk of flesh fly off of his arm at the same time? That's a very good question. And it goes precisely to the nature of the presence and the mode of sacrifice. Because we teach as Catholics that in the sacred host that we now receive, Christ is not destroyed or immolated or killed, neither by the offering nor by our communion. Sometimes Protestants will accuse Catholics of being cannibals. They say, well, you're eating Jesus, that's cannibalism. But it's not cannibalism, because a cannibal actually does destroy, in the act of mastication, actually destroys the body of his victim, kills him and then digests him. None of that pertains in the Eucharist. We don't break Jesus, we don't kill him, we don't slaughter him, he's not broken into bits. He's not even digested by us such that his, fats and proteins become metabolized by me into my body. It doesn't work that way. The presence ceases as soon as the appearance of bread and wine go away. So we're talking about an entirely mysterious mode of presence.
Okay.